So, see, understand when we have to do this heights and distances chapter, right? So,
Yes,
what
ma'am.
exactly we have to study in heights and distances? It's very simple.
Yes, ma'am.
See, when we are doing the heights and distances part, you understand heights and distances chapter is an application of trigonometry. And
Yes, ma'am.
trigonometry can be applied only on right angled triangles, right? Only on right angled triangles we can apply trigonometry. So
Yes,
you
ma'am.
understand that, in real life situations, if we say that, there is a pole standing on the ground, so you have to learn how to actually, draw the diagrams. So pole
Yes, ma'am.
standing on the ground. So how would you draw the ground? The ground shall always be a straight line,
Yes, ma'am. It'll be the base, ma'am.
the base. So this is going to be G dash is going to be my ground. Now let us
Yes, ma'am.
suppose I want to, make a pole, I want to make a building, I want to make a pedestal. So there are certain words which come into that. So obviously this would be my building.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes or no? So I'm going to say this is going to be the building. So I'm going to say B. And this is going to be the foot of the building. So BF. B
Yes,
is
ma'am.
the building and F is the foot. I hope you're understanding.
Yes, ma'am.
Right now it depends, where is the observer, unless and until the question tells me that, there is a boy whose height is 1.5 meter or whose height is 1 meter, whatever. Till then till then the observer is a point observer. Till then
Yes, ma'am.
the observer is a point observer.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand? And that point
Yes, ma'am.
observer you will mark on the ground itself. So this point, blue point, shall be my O here stands for observer.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you understand that, if for example, this is the person. So you understand, this is the person. This is the person, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And the person's eye is here. And now
Yes,
the
ma'am.
person is actually looking straight. So when the person looks straight, I hope you're understanding, this shall be the line of sight.
Yes, ma'am.
So let us suppose, the person is standing somewhere here, right? The person is here.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is the ground. And there is some pole which is exactly the height of the person. There is this
Yes, ma'am.
pole which is exactly the height of the person. So let's suppose this is a person. And
Yes,
something
ma'am.
here is at the top of the pole. Here.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So the person is doing what? This person is actually looking totally straight into the eye. So this is the line of sight of the person. I hope you're understanding.
Yes, ma'am.
But what happens is that, when the person is has to now somebody, there's this ground, right? There's this ground. And when there is this ground, right? When there is this ground, and there is something which is above the height of the person. There's something which is above the height of the person,
Yes, ma'am.
somewhere here, right? At here. And where is my observer now? So my observer, how do you understand? My observer will now have to, raise its head little bit,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Will have to raise its head a little bit and then look here and then look here. Yes or no? So
Yes, ma'am.
basically, his actual line of sight was what? This was his line of sight. This was his line of sight.
Yes, ma'am.
If he was looking straight, he would actually look straight like this. But
Yes,
now
ma'am.
he has to bend his head little bit backwards in order to look at the top like this. So
Yes,
this
ma'am.
is his new line of sight. I hope you're understanding.
Yes,
This
ma'am. I
is his
understood that.
new line of sight.
Yes, ma'am.
So this angle that the person is making while looking something above its height, this is called elevation. Elevation means what? To lift up. What do you mean
Yes,
to
ma'am.
elevate? Elevate means to lift up. So this is called as the angle of elevation. That the angle that the person's head or the person's eye is making with the horizontal line of sight. Because whatever is the height of the person, right? The person would
Yes, ma'am.
look straight like that along that line of sight. But
Yes,
now,
ma'am.
in this example, the person has to look at a certain height above him because obviously he's trying to look at a building or some light, something like that, some pole light or something like
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
So he is going to make this particular angle, and this angle shall be called as the angle of elevation.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
But let us suppose, the person has to look at the foot of the ground. Let us suppose a person has to look at the foot of the ground.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes or no? So when the person has to look at the foot of the ground, what exactly is going to happen? You tell me. He is going to do what? So this is again my ground, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is some object above the height of the person. This is
Yes, ma'am.
some bulb right here at the top, right? This is some bulb right at the top. And the
Yes, ma'am.
person is actually, trying to focus on the top, on the bottom of the foot of the perpendicular, of the foot
Yes,
of the
ma'am.
pole, lamppost, foot of the lamppost. So
Yes, ma'am.
now he will have to see, understand. This was actually his line of sight, right?
Yes, ma'am.
This was his line of sight because this was his height. And now what exactly is going to do? He is going to focus his head a little bit downwards,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So from his line of sight, he is going to look now here, here. So
Yes, ma'am.
this was his actual horizontal line of sight.
Yes, ma'am.
And now he has to bend his head forward and downwards to look to focus at the bottom. So
Yes,
when
ma'am.
he has to focus at the bottom here, you know, this is
Yes,
called
ma'am.
what? This is called as his new line of sight.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you're looking here, new line of sight. So I hope you're understanding that this is called as the angle of depression.
Yes, ma'am.
Depression. Understood? So this is how we basically decide, when are we focusing upwards? When are we focusing upwards? So we have to keep our heads a little bit upward and focus at the top. And we have the angle of elevation.
Yes, ma'am.
And when the person is trying to look something which is at the bottom, then the person will
Yes,
have
ma'am.
to bring his head down, and then he will have to focus here at that foot.
Yes.
But now you understand. Let us suppose a person has to focus at two different angles, right? So let's suppose this is my ground, and this is there is some house right here. There is some house right here.
Yes, ma'am.
There is some house right here. Something like this, right? And the
Yes, ma'am.
person and the person is standing where? The person is standing here. The person is standing here, right? This is the person.
Yes, ma'am.
Now let's suppose this is the person. So what is his line
Yes,
of
ma'am.
sight? This is his horizontal line of sight.
Yes, ma'am.
But now you understand that this is ship one, this is ship one,
Yes, ma'am.
and this is ship two. Yes or no? So
Yes,
now
ma'am.
he has to bring his head down. So let's suppose this is the eye of the person. So this was his horizontal line of sight, because which is my actual line of sight normally,
Yes, ma'am.
right? This is my horizontal line of sight. And now to look at ship one. So ship one is actually farther away, right? So this distance
Yes,
x
ma'am.
is smaller. This distance x is
Yes, ma'am.
smaller. And this distance x is bigger. Why?
Yes, ma'am.
So I hope you're understanding this person from the horizontal line of sight to look at ship 2. Don't you think that he will have to lower down his head a little bit more?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
And to look at ship 1, he will not have to lower down his head more. Like this is like this.
Yes, ma'am.
He is lowering down his head like this, downwards. And to look at this ship, he will have to keep his head like this. Not much. He's going to just rotate him a bit
Yes, ma'am.
like this. What I'm trying to tell you is that to look at ship 2, the angle of depression shall be more, And to look at ship 1, the angle of depression shall be green one,
Less.
theta
Yes.
0. Yes. So that means from a particular position, if we are focusing on a far off object, this angle shall be a smaller angle. And if we are
Yes, ma'am.
focusing on a smaller, this particular thing, we will have a greater angle of depression. Understood or not?
Yes, ma'am. Understood,
Right?
ma'am.
Right? So one thing. Secondly, you understand this ground. This ground is actually parallel to what? This ground is actually parallel to the horizontal line of sight.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you understand that, if this is the angle, so this angle, both of these angles should be same
Yes,
because
ma'am.
they are both alternate interior angles, because these two would be acting as a parallel line, this line and the
Oh,
ground, and this acts as a transversal. This blue line here acts as a transversal. This blue line of sight acts as a transversal. I hope you're understanding.
yes. Yes, ma'am.
Right? So I hope you're understanding that this green angle, whatever is this angle would exactly be same as this particular angle. Yes or no?
Yes.
Because the horizontal line of sight and the ground, yes or no? They are both
Yes, ma'am.
parallel. And what about this one? And what about this one? What about
So,
this particular thing?
which one, ma'am?
See, this horizontal line to focus at ship 2. So don't you think that this particular angle which we have right here,
Yes, ma'am.
so,
It'll be
so
the same.
the red theta, they must be same.
Yes.
Understood or not?
Yes, ma'am.
So what I'm trying to tell you is that we need to figure out a right angle triangle first thing.
Yes,
Second
ma'am.
thing, we need to know whether we are focusing on something which is below our line of sight. If it is below our line of sight that we are focusing, we will have angle of depression. And
Yes,
if
ma'am.
we are focusing on something which is above our line of sight, then we will have the angle of elevation.
Elevation. Yes, ma'am.
Okay? If you are
Yes,
focusing
ma'am.
at even higher object, let's suppose there is something which is even higher than this, then the angle of elevation from the line of sight shall be even bigger.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? So that is a concept. So that is a concept. Yes
Yes,
or
ma'am.
no?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Now understand. So what kind of questions you have? You know the values of sine 60, sine 30, right? You know the
Yes,
values of
ma'am.
sine 45. These all trigonometric ratios, these values you might be knowing. So
Yes, ma'am.
how we are supposed to imply in this? See, understand. So for example, the question says, an observer, an observer standing, standing at a distance of, standing at a distance of 10 meters from the foot of the pole,
Yes, ma'am.
from the foot of the pole, and and focuses on on the top of the pole by an angle of elevation, by an angle of elevation of 60 degree. Calculate the height of the pole. Calculate the height of the pole.
Yes, ma'am.
Now let's make a diagram for this. It says there's a person. The person's height is nowhere mentioned in the question. So the
Yes, ma'am.
observer for me would be a point observer. And there
Yes,
is
ma'am.
a pole. There is a pole whose top the person is trying to focus on.
Yes,
Whose
ma'am.
top the person is trying to. So this is the pole, the red pole. So here I would have the foot of the pole, and
Yes, ma'am.
here I would have the top of the pole.
Yes, ma'am.
And this blue observer is actually trying to focus at the top.
Top.
No? So
Yes, ma'am.
this would be his horizontal line of force.
Yes, ma'am.
Along this line, he would be focusing horizontally, because if the height is not given, this is the head of the observer. So this is the
Yes, ma'am.
observer. And this would be the horizontal line of force, because that's where the eye would be. So from
Yes,
here,
ma'am.
he is trying to focus a little bit upwards. So do you understand that, this would be the new line of sight, the green line of sight?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
thereby it is going to make an angle theta upwards. And how much is that angle? 60 degrees.
Yes, ma'am.
60 degrees. So this is 60
Ma'am,
degrees.
will the
Now see, now if this is theta, this is 60 degrees. And this is my line of sight. This is my new line of sight, which is oblique line of sight. And that's making an angle of 60 degree with my horizontal line of sight. So this is
yes,
my
ma'am.
angle of elevation. And the
Yes,
question
ma'am.
says that the person is standing 10 meters away from the foot of the pole. So this is the foot of the pole. And the distance
Yes,
between the observer is actual distance is this. And the question says calculate the height of the pole. So I do not know the height of the pole. So let's suppose the height of the
yes,
pole
ma'am.
is h. Now you understand. How do I remember the ratio? I know for the fact that I have to calculate height and the
Yes, ma'am.
base distance I know. So h in this triangle right in front of theta is my perpendicular.
Yes, ma'am.
Is my perpendicular. And this shall be my base. And the green line of the new line of sight is going to be my hypotenuse. Because the hypotenuse is the side which is right in front of the 90 degrees.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand? So what
Yes, ma'am.
exactly does that mean? You tell me. What exactly does that mean? So this shall be 90 degrees, isn't it? So right in front of 90 degree, we will have the line of sight. Are you
Yes,
understanding?
ma'am.
Right? And now
Yes,
you
ma'am.
understand. So one side we want to find. In this example, it is the height. So that is my unknown side.
Yes, ma'am.
And one side in the question shall be given. That in this example is my known side, which is the base in this
Yes, ma'am.
example. So I will say h over 10. What is h over 10? Let's make a ratio for this. So what is h here? It is perpendicular. What
Yes,
is
ma'am.
10 here? That is my base. And
Base.
what is
Yes.
p by b is called? That is called tan theta. What is theta? 60 degree. Because I am
Yes.
defining this h is called as perpendicular because it is in front of 60 degree. Right? Because it is in front of
Yes, ma'am.
60 degree, this is why it is called perpendicular.
Yes, ma'am.
And this one, this is like right in front of 90 degree it is there. This one, this side.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is why it is called hypotenuse.
Yes, yes.
So I am not concerned with the hypotenuse because that's not given to me in the question. I hope you're understanding.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So what I'm trying to tell you that this would be called as a base. This would be called as a base because it is just because obviously the 90 degree is formed between the perpendicular and the base. So if I
Yes, ma'am.
decide the perpendicular, how would I know the base? Tell me. If I decide the perpendicular, how would I know the base? You tell me.
Ma'am, can you repeat the question?
I'm saying if I have already decided the perpendicular, how would I decide
Yes.
the base? Because when you have three sides in a right angle triangle,
Yes,
definitely
ma'am.
if one side is the perpendicular, the third side has to be the base. Because
Yes,
one
ma'am.
is hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is very clearly
Yes,
visible
ma'am.
right in front of
Yes, ma'am.
90 degree. And right in front of my considered acute angle, that would be my perpendicular. So the remaining side
Yes, ma'am.
shall be my
Is
base.
the base. Yes, ma'am.
And what is
Ma'am, is the ma'am?
the P by B, which is the ratio that I'm taking in this example, which is
Yes, ma'am.
one side out of P and B, my P is unknown and the base is known. So this
Yes, ma'am.
ratio shall be called as tan theta.
Yes, ma'am.
So H over 10 shall be tan. And what theta are we talking about in this question? Tan 60.
Ma'am, 60%.
And not percent, tan 60
I mean,
degrees.
not percent.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
And tan 60 degrees value is root 3. So one value I know from the table
Yes,
and
ma'am.
one value for every triangle I can calculate. So I hope you can
Yes.
equate them. So you will have h over 10
Yes, ma'am.
would be root 3. So what shall be h? H shall be 10 root
Yeah, by root 3.
3 centimeters. And what is the value of root 3? The value of root 3 shall be 10 into 1.713. So that shall be 17.132 meters. shall be the actual height of the pole.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand? So that's how
Yes, ma'am.
we apply the heights and distance concept. Understood in this part.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you
Example, I'll tell you this question. So have a look at this particular question. The question says a person tied the kite with a taut thread,
yes, ma'am.
which is 14 meters long and makes an angle of 30 degrees with the ground.
Yes, ma'am.
How high is the kite? How high is the kite from the ground? How high is the kite from the ground?
Yes, ma'am.
So, how do we do this? Again, let's draw the diagram. So, let us suppose this is my ground, and this is the point on which the thread is being tied, and there is this
Yes,
kite
ma'am.
here. So, this is making an angle here with the ground, and here is the kite.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the kite. So, the question is that, how high is the kite from the ground?
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
this height we are supposed to find out. And this thread with which it is obliquely, tied is 30 degrees, making an angle. And this
Yes,
is
ma'am.
going to be 14 meters. Yes or no? So
Yes,
now in
ma'am.
this question, they have given you one side, which is going to be the hypotenuse.
Hypotenuse. Yes, ma'am.
So hypotenuse is given to me for this question. And with respect to 30 degree, which is this, the 30 degrees theta. So side
Yes,
right
ma'am.
in front of theta, this side, this is going to be my perpendicular.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have identified my perpendicular, or you can say it altitude. I have figured out the hypotenuse.
Yes, ma'am.
So obviously the remaining side would be the base.
Yes, ma'am.
So I will say in triangle, let's suppose ABC. In triangle ABC, I am saying that I have to consider the known and the unknown. Unknown is one which I'm supposed to find out. So H
Yes,
is
ma'am.
something that I need to find out. So for me, that is my unknown, and that stands as a perpendicular here. And what is my
Yes, ma'am.
known? My known is 14,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
hypotenuse. So what is P over H called? The ratio of these two sides is always called as a sine theta.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
what is the theta we are using? So theta we are using is 30
30,
degrees. So
30
I will
degree.
say
Yes, ma'am.
perpendicular is H. The hypotenuse is 14, and it is going to be sine 30 degrees. So height over 14. And what is the value of sine 30 degrees? Half. So I
Yes,
crisscross
ma'am.
it. So 2 times H shall be 14. So H shall be 7 meters. So basically
Yes,
the
ma'am.
kite is at a height of 7 meters from the in a storm
Yes, ma'am.
due to heavy rainfall and air. A long tree breaks down. A tall tree breaks down in such a way that the top of the tree touches the ground, touches the ground. So now you see, what was the question? The question said,
It was
hmm, the question said this is the ground,
yes,
and there
ma'am.
was a very tall tree.
Yes, ma'am.
I do not know the height of the tree, but the question says that due to heavy rainfall and lot of wind blowing like this, right?
Yes,
The
ma'am.
tree experiences a jerk, and the tree falls down. So this is the tree.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the foot of the tree, TF. And let's
Yes, ma'am.
suppose from point L, the tree bends. This entire tree bends. And
Yes, ma'am.
this tree bends in such a way that it is going to touch the ground. That it is going to bend like this and it is going to touch the ground like this.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand? So this is the tree basically, and this tree is sort of going to bend from here, and this much portion is going to bend like this downwards.
Yes, ma'am.
This much portion is going to actually bend like this, from this connecting point L, such
Yes,
that
ma'am.
the top, this was the top, so this top is actually coming, it is falling down and reaching here. So this was the
Yes,
top,
ma'am.
and this top is actually making an angle of 30 degrees with the ground, away at an angle of 15 meters. So the question says find the height of the tree. That's the question. The question says
Yes, ma'am.
find the height of the tree. Find the height of the tree. You understand? So when the
Yes, ma'am.
question says find the height of the tree, what does that exactly mean? You tell me.
It means we have to like find the height with the either the hypotenuse or the base.
Yes. So both of them we are supposed to find and then add them up. So let's suppose this height is
Yes,
x and this hypotenuse is y. So
yes,
once
ma'am.
I will say that, in triangle LFT, x over 15. So x is going to be my perpendicular and 15 is
Yes,
going
ma'am.
to be my base. So
The
perpendicular
base. Yes,
upon base ratio is called as tan theta.
yes, ma'am.
Because, this is 90 degrees here.
Yes, ma'am.
So right in front of 90 degrees is my hypotenuse.
Yes, ma'am.
And right in front of theta, 30 degrees is going to be my perpendicular. So the
Perpendicular.
remaining
Yes, ma'am.
side has to be my base. And because of that, I'm going to say x over 15. X over 15. So what is x? X is definitely the perpendicular. 15 is
Perpendicular.
base.
Yes, ma'am.
And this ratio is called as tan theta. So I will say x
Yes,
over
ma'am.
15 shall be tan 30 degrees. So x over
Yes, ma'am.
15 is tan 30 degrees is root 3. So x shall be crisscross. So root 3x shall be 15. So x shall be 15 root 3 meters. So this much
Yes,
height
ma'am.
would be 15 root 3 meters. Now
Yes, ma'am.
on the similar lines, let's talk about the another triangle again. In
Yes, ma'am.
triangle LFT again, I have to find out now y. So I will say, 15 over y, because 15 is going to be my base and y is going to be my hypotenuse. So what
Yes, ma'am.
is base upon hypotenuse called? Cos theta.
Yes, ma'am.
So base over hypotenuse shall be 15 over y shall be cos 30 degrees. So
Yes, ma'am.
15 over y and cos 30 degrees would be what? Root 3 over 2. Again
Yes, ma'am.
crisscross. So you get 30 equals to root 3y. So y shall be 30 root 3. 30 over root 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Here it is going to be 15 over root 3.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is going to be my y, which is coming out to be 30 over root 3. And this is coming out to be 15 over root 3. So what is the
Yes, ma'am.
total height of the tree according to you? The total height of the tree. The total height of the tree shall be 30 over root 3, because this was actually my original tree, right? This full,
Yes, ma'am.
but actually it broke from point L and this much TL portion had to actually break down and fall down.
Yes,
So this portion stand is still standing upright, but
yes,
this
ma'am.
much portion is actually falling down, and this top
Yes,
is
ma'am.
actually, has to fall down and touch the ground at point T.
Yes, ma'am.
So the total height here shall be 30 over root 3 plus 15 over root 3,
It's
and that
15.
shall
Yes,
be
ma'am.
45 over root 3. That
Root
is
3.
going to be
Yes,
my
ma'am.
total height. Understood or not?
Yes, ma'am.
So what exactly do you understand from here? So root 3, you cannot keep root 3, the irrational part, in the denominator. So you need to
Yes, ma'am.
multiply with root 3 and root 3. I hope you understand the rationalization part. So it becomes
Yes, ma'am.
45 root 3 And why root 3 into root 3 is 3? Because 3 raised to power half into 3 raised to power half.
3. Yes, ma'am.
Root means half, power half.
Yes, ma'am.
And when bases are same, so powers get added up. So half plus half
Added.
basically is 1.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why it becomes 3. So
3.
3 times 15. So total height of the tree is 15 root 3 meters. Understood or not?
Yes.
That's the answer to
Yes,
this
ma'am.
question. So now in this
Yes, ma'am.
example, we were given only one base and one angle. And you see, with the help of different kinds of trigonometric ratios, we could find the remaining sides.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand the point?
Yes, ma'am.